stop it. It's like all of a sudden, it's not just about what the fans said, it's about the interpretation, and it's about how people said it. Even the banana last week, it was about the person, he said that he just threw it on the pitch and he didn't think nothing of it. But it's the subliminal mindset, because you understand what that means. You understand the depths of what that means. The journalists that write the newspaper articles about Raheem Sterling before today, before the young post of the kids, I have said it before. Ian Wright said it in the documentary. It's racial. It's racist. You're calling out a black man for something that he's not done nothing for, but you're just calling him out. For me, based on his own colour, and people say, yeah, and there was people saying about Gaza and Rooney and these players that have been picked on. But for me, it's deeper than that for Raheem Sterling.
That's what I. Welcome, guys, to the Neeks Sports Podcast, episode 7. I am joined here by, of course, Kyle and Ramone from Neeks Sports, and Have Hope, Double H from the Have Hope Football Hut. Because we're going to talk about the big issue of the weekend. And it's a massive, massive issue in football, in society. Now, obviously, as we know, as the video footage suggests, and I have to be careful with the words that I use, it appears that Raheem Sterling has been racially abused at the Chelsea versus Man City game by one of the fans near the corner flag. He ran over to the corner flag to retrieve the ball for a corner from Man City, and he was hurled with all sorts of abuse, and it looked like he was called a black cunt. Edit that for me, Java. Now, I want to get everyone's kind of reaction as to when you heard the news break about when you saw the video. What was your first feeling, Kyle? I'll start with you.
Well, I wouldn't say I had any like deep feelings or deep emotions about the incident or what was said, because in my head, this is the daily lifestyle of football players, especially black football players. I'm not saying it's strictly to black football players only, but football players in general. But it happens more so to black football players. In my head, like I have like its own world in my head. In my head, it's like these incidents happen all the time, but they just don't come out. Maybe they didn't get caught on camera, or the player that it was said to doesn't say anything. They're kind of like, those like calm, casual players that just brush things off, to just look like they're just, just someone like Ozil, for example, that just strolls across the press. Some might say something to me, and so what? But and it doesn't come out. So in my head, it's like, oh, this is just another day in the office for football players. What they have to deal with. Unfortunately, it's not something that's nice. It's something that I wouldn't want to see or hear. I would prefer if it wasn't in the game. It's obviously no one wants to be called any kind of racial slurs or any of that. But I wasn't surprised. I wasn't completely surprised. I mean, Raheem Sterling's been getting it a lot recently, a lot from even before he got the tattoo. But he's been getting it a lot recently. So it didn't surprise me at all. It didn't surprise me.
My first thought, I guess, when these situations happen, my first thought always goes to the individual that was been targeted at that moment in time. I know it's obviously a bigger issue in the grand scheme of things, but the way I always go to the individual and the person. So my first thought, I was actually just upset for Raheem himself, for him to go over there just to. And I understand, being a footballer, you have to have thick skin, because you can get called. You have to kind of be ready, be prepared to hear anything, because you're putting yourself out there in the limelight. And we all know, as you know, you're going to get some sort of stick here and there. But to be judged on something that that is nothing he's done, just of his race, of who he is, of where he's from. For me, it just upsets me. For him to hear it, and also. It just goes along with what he's had in the past. He's obviously, in my opinion, I feel like he's been targeted before racially. He actually has been abused by fans racially. I think Tottenham fans. Before Tottenham game, he was racially.
I believe Well, I'm not sure about the
There was an
incident.
incident. There was an incident
outside of football.
outside. Was that on the way to training ground or something?
I think it was a Man United fan.
Was a Man United fan?
believe it was a
Yeah,
Man United
but I think it was
fan in
before
Manchester.
Tottenham game because he scored
Oh,
two
okay,
against
okay.
Tottenham in that game. Yeah. So anyway, he's had it before, and even if it's not racism, he's had a lot of stick from all over the press and everything before. So my first initial was sad, and I'm upset for him. And also the same thing, you know, when it happened with Aubameyang last week and the banana, and you know, these players are human beings at the end of the day, and so they have to hear these things and still go home after the football matches and live their life. And you know, if anything, you know, especially right. For me personally, I'm Jamaican. He's a Jamaican as well, so I feel like he's come from a certain shade where I know from Jamaica it's not easy to get out of that struggle to get it over to England to work in a position that he is now. So I understand his whole struggle to where he's got to today. So it just makes me even more fueled to be upset for him personally. So yeah, that's where I stand on it personally.
For me, my view is like, you know, I'm bored. I'm bored with all of these same incidents. You know, I watched a documentary, I think it was probably back in the 90s or 80s, where they interviewed these black players. This is decades ago, like back in the 90s or even in the 80s. And they said that there are 3 clubs who are notorious for racism: Chelsea, West Ham, Millwall. And for years, people have known that, man. Yeah. Chelsea, West Ham, Millwall, these fans are always known for racism. So when I see like guys like Henry Winter says, "Oh, this is a wake-up call, and this is serious," and I know we should now finally do something. That's like, you clowns, you guys are.
Why is it taking this now in 2018?
2018,
to wake up?
When we had a documentary when black players said that, man, Chelsea, West Ham, Millwall, you just know that you're always gonna get stick from those fans, and it's like, I told you, I was on a train one time with a group of Chelsea fans. I think I wasn't. They didn't play Tottenham, but they were thinking about gassing Juice. Because Tottenham is a rival, and I was like, I'm not much to sit down in the train. How sick in the head must you be? So when I look at that stuff, it's the bigger issue here is what is acceptable for being a football fan. That's why for me, like, I don't even like going to games because for me, I'm not going to. Because you know what was funny when I was looking at that game, I was looking at the black Chelsea fan. So what's going through your mind? If you're hearing that, and I'm sure he must have been hearing many things, what's going through your mind? Are you now going to be the black guy that's going to be like, hey, man, you know, I'm a Chelsea fan. I was like, I know it's bad, but I'm just going to be like this. Or are you actually going to be a black guy? So no. I need you to be a black man, not a Chelsea fan. This is a flipping game. Principles mean something more. So my thing about it is that UEFA, FIFA, the FA, they don't care about eradicating the issue.
We're going to get onto that. I don't want to get your initial thoughts.
So initial thoughts.
Yeah.
Bored. I've seen this before, and it's a case of where it's like Groundhog Day. I've seen this story play out too many times now. So
I think for me, when I was watching the match, I obviously we were at Stamford Bridge to do the fan cams after, but we were watching the match outside the ground, and I saw obviously Sterling go over there. And at that moment, I knew that he was getting abused. I didn't assume automatically it was racist abuse. And even in my, I didn't even consider it initially. It was like, he's getting some stick down there. One, he's Raheem Sterling, as you know how he is. And two, obviously, he's opposition fan. So you're going to a corner, you're going to get abused. And you can see there's a lot of a high tension in that moment. But it came and passed. And obviously, I saw the videos after. And me, I wasn't, when I saw it, I kind of laughed. I think we were sitting together when we saw the video, and I was like, there was no like real anger from me. I said that, I put the tweet out with the angry emoji, but I was like, because it's a bad situation. But inside, I'm not even angry, and it's because we've come to a situation, a place in our society where this thing, whilst it's not right, it seems like it's normal. It's happened so much that it's like, oh, another one. Oh, another one. It's, it's not exactly the same, but it's like when we first, hear about, especially in the last couple of years, someone died on the streets for knife crime or gun crime. At first, it's like, oh my goodness. Now when we hear it, unfortunately, it's come to a point where it's like, oh, it's happened again. Another one. Now, when I reflect on it a bit after, then I've come to the situation where like I actually feel upset for Raheem Sterling because he's having to deal with it, and other footballers, whatever, who's having to deal with this. But my initial reaction was just like again, and I'm not even surprised. And I think for me that is the main problem, when people aren't surprised that what technically is a crime is committed, where it's just like, oh, it's happened again. Now, I was watching the Ian Wright documentary, out of their skin, on ITV4, and there's 2 parts to it, and it stemmed back from from Viv Anderson being the first black player to play for England, right through to now Raheem Sterling, and he spoke to a lot of different ex-players, through John Barnes, Paul Ince, etc., who has suffered from all of that. And I have to question what has actually changed. Now, maybe that incident that we see is less reported. Maybe if it maybe even happens less because people know that there is maybe cameras around. There is consequences to the actions, whereas back then there was no consequence to the action. If anything, the victim was the one who was vilified more than the villain. But has the mindset that existed in the 80s and 90s on a mass level, I'm not even saying an individual here or there, on a mass level, has it actually changed? We did, and I think Kyle was there as well, we did a live Neeks Sports a couple of years ago. We had a panel discussion, and one of the questions were about whether racism, can it ever go? And I was looking through the video today, and a lot of what we were saying there, and actually one of the things I said in there was that it's not as obvious as the 80s and the 70s and 80s, where people like bananas were being thrown on the pitch. But then you mentioned that obviously Aubameyang, a banana skin was thrown. So it's like, have we actually progressed as a society, as football society? Have we actually progressed since then?
I don't think so. I haven't seen enough to say, oh, we're making progress. I mean, yeah, like you said, it might be reported less, and now that there's more cameras or there's more chances for people to get, displayed when they're being racist or saying racist slurs, etc. So you might see it less, but I don't think that there is any significant change from 10, 20 years ago. I think we're pretty much in the same place where we was 20 years ago. And if you're asking, like, the live podcast that we did a couple of years ago, can it ever go? I mean, I don't think football itself can get rid of it. I think it's something that you'd have to do on more of a educational terms. It would have to be taught from schools, from primary schools, how it basically like how they teach them about crime and how crime is wrong and what are the consequences when you kill someone or stab them, and the road that you can go down, prison life, and you're in and out of the prison system, and how it can ruin your life. And you'd have to teach them racism and how it can affect people and how it affect their families' lives, and what exactly are you doing when you're doing these things to an individual or a group of people. I don't think, because these are grown, the majority of people are grown people. They've been living their life 30, 40, 50 years, and coming in and watching football, and for some authority, an FA, or it's not necessarily the law, but some FA or the FIFA or whatever telling you, no, don't do this, or if you do this, this is going to happen. It's not gonna stop them. They've been doing it for 40, 50 years. But maybe if you had started when they were 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, teaching them in school, maybe they would think twice about it. So I don't think the football as a whole can really tackle this like whole racist situation on their own. It has to go beyond that.
I think for me it's difficult because you have I guess what has surprised me in the past couple of weeks is that the openness and outwardly racial slurs and the terms we've seen in the English Premier League, which we haven't specifically seen in the Premier League on a week-to-week basis. We have seen across the world, we have seen in other countries, but we've always thought, well, some people would have thought it's them, it's those guys over there. We don't have it over here anymore.
Even if it's not the fans, we've seen incidents in the last 10 years, less than that, John Terry and Suarez, and how those were dealt with by fans of those clubs.
Exactly, and I think, but this is the thing, and I think it's gone. For me, it's a bit more past the outwardly antics of someone just slurring out. It goes deeper than that for me. For me, it goes more into the subliminal, the mindset, what people believe, what people say. And actually, as much as that did hurt me from what the fans have said, I've been shocked, like you said, the reaction of, not shocked, but just to see the reaction of some journalists and the way people are talking about the whole incident, as if like, you know, there's some people that are saying that, you know, Raheem Sterling has to take the blame for the way he has been as a football player. Some people have looked on his Instagram and said he's deleted old posts. Some people have said that there was even, you know, people saying about how you know, it's been taken out of context of the way what people are saying. It's like, for me, it's like you're missing the whole point, because you're talking about, you're trying to brush it under the carpet, and it's like all of a sudden it's not just about what the fans said, it's about the interpretation, and it's about how people said it. Even the banana last week, it was about the person he said that he just threw it on the pitch and he didn't think nothing of it. But it's the subliminal mindset, because you understand what that means, you understand the depths of what that means. The journalists that write the newspaper articles about Raheem Sterling before the Young posted the kids, I have said it before, Ian Wright said in the documentary, it's racial, it's racist. You're calling out a black man for something that he's not done nothing for, but you're just calling him out, for me, based on his own colour. And people say, yeah, and there was people saying about Gaza and Rooney and these players that have been picked on, but for me it's deeper than that for Raheem Sterling.
That's what I was. Obviously Sterling brought out the Instagram post. He had Tosin, I can't remember his surname, and Phil Foden, two Man City academy players. Foden's played maybe 10, 15 more games than Tosin in the first team. Tosin hasn't played in Premier League, but he's played Champions League. One newspaper article saying Tosin splashes out on Premier League footballer on 25,000 a week, splashes out on 2.5 million mansion despite never playing a Premier League game. Like, that's the criteria for buying a house. Whereas Phil Foden buys a house, a £2 million house for his mum.
No, it said startlet. Manchester City startlet.
Phil Foden buys £2 million house for his mum. So they didn't mention black. They didn't say any racial slurs, with the N-word, C, or anything like that. But the words that they're using, it comes from racial undertones. And when you look at Piers Morgan, he came out basically trying to defend the media, saying it's not racist. He said Sterling's made a rod for his own back, basically, because he had a gun tattoo, because he did balloons, because what was the other one? Because he bought. He said no. He said something about a fleet of cars. I can't remember. There was another one. Yeah. But that's just denial. Like, we can see the racist undertones when it comes to reporting black footballers and even black people. You see someone who even has died and they'll drag up some pictures from High Five and Bebo where they might be doing some gang signs, something like that, and they'll use that as the picture to show, well, this person was living a certain life. Even Mark Duggan, we go back there, 2011 or 12 was it? And there's a picture that they use where when he obviously was killed by the police officer, a stone-faced picture, looked like he's some kind of gangster. But then when you actually see the full picture, it's him at his daughter's graveside holding a headstone. And it's like the reporting of these black players or black people is racist. And it incites people who already have racist tendencies to feel they have the right to abuse Sterling in the way that they have.
No, for me, I think it is a perception thing. And I think England is a racist country. Yeah. And that's something that the English people like to sort of reject, because the English are very good at trying to ignore things and making things very subliminal, because England is like to act like, no, everything is okay. Well, I mean, look at how much better we are than Eastern Europe. Look at how much better we are than the Americans. Look, in America, they're killing black people there. Eastern Europe is a lot better, but no. England has a deeply racist issue. And I think that a lot of white journalists as well, when they look at a black player, especially putting on the England jersey, he's not English. And which is why we even go even deep right now. Like, for me, as a Nigerian, when I look at Raheem Sterling wearing an England jersey, all these guys wearing an English, it's like, I'm sorry, you're not English. A black man telling me he's English, I don't believe you. See, I just don't believe you. So I think that is where it comes from, because again, when you just look at the whole Tosin and Foden thing, Foden is English, and he's the new star that they hope will now be the face of England in the future. If
So you're saying they have a problem with Sterling basically like being an England star because he's black?
100%. Like, it just doesn't fit the archetype and the view, especially him being given the number 10 jersey and him really being, like, for me, Sterling is the person in England who really causes them the most issues, because Kane is the goal scorer.
He's England's best player.
Yeah.
He's England's best player.
You can add that he's the best, because for me, Kane is the goal scorer. As far as the player who I feel causes the most issues and most problems attacking wise, it's Sterling. That's why he started giving the number 10 jersey. But I just think that when you look at the media and everyone, they just have a hard time really looking at a black player or just as a black person the same as a white person. It's a subconscious thing.